Folks, we still need that land. Please, deck, stop betraying us. Greetings, everyone. I am glad to be here, and I am glad that you are here. Today, we've got a little bit of a treat for you. It's a meme deck. There's no question. It's just a big meme, but I do think it's quite playable and at least reasonably good. We played it on stream the other day, and I figured I might give our YouTube audience a chance to have a look as well. I call it Can't Lose Tribal. So we've got the tribe of things that say can't lose, and they are all... and we've got a bunch of those different combos in here. So many of you, if you're familiar with Standard, might be familiar with the Book of Exalted Deeds Faceless Haven combo. Faceless Haven, when you activate it, is all creature types. And Book of Exalted Deeds has the text on it. You can pay 3 mana, exile it, put an Enlighten counter on target angel. Of course, again, all creature types. That does mean angel. And then the Enlighten counter says... It gains, you can't lose the game, your opponents can't win the game, activate only as a sorcery. So, you can't lose the game, your opponents can't win. That's this combo. Similarly, many of you may be familiar with the 9-life Solemnity combo. 9 lives says, if a source would deal damage to you, prevent that damage. Put an incarnation counter on 9 lives. Then if there are 9 or more incarnation counters on 9 lives, exile it. When 9 lives leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. So it's supposed to be kind of thematic. You become kind of a cat or whatever. So it just prevents the damage, and then eventually you die because they kill all of your 9 lives. The catch is, Solemnity says, players can't get counters. Counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. So counters can't be put on enchantments, meaning 9 lives can't get counters, which means all damage that would be dealt to you is prevented. Now you'll notice counters can't be placed on lands. We just talked about putting an enlightened counter on a land. So yes, it's true. We have an Onbo. We have more than one Onbo, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So if you have your Solemnity out, you cannot Book of Exalted Deeds and Faceless Haven. So you need to be cautious about when you play that out. Similarly, we have 2 Mazemind Tome for card advantage sake, and it can't have counters put on it either. But again, how would Can't Lose Tribal function without 9 Lives Solemnity, the most straightforward you can't lose the game combo in the game? As far as the rest of the cards in the deck, Gideon of the Trials, you get an emblem with, as long as you control a Gideon Planeswalker, you can't lose the game, your opponents can't win the game. Then Serra the Benevolent, you get an emblem with, if you control a creature, damage would reduce your life total to less than 1, reduces it to 1 instead. So these, of course, also stand alone combos, and then the remainder of the cards are lands and are just supporting things, some ways of winning the game and things like that. A couple of notable exceptions. You will likely be sad to see that Platinum Angel is not here. You can't lose the game, your opponents can't win the game. It literally just says the text on the card. The problem is we rely pretty heavily on our board sweepers, and the thing that's giving this deck a relatively good win rate is its ability to destroy the creatures. So, we couldn't have it in here. We did have the other Karn to go and put it in the wish board. It just didn't feel like it was pulling its weight, so we ended up not keeping it. Then the other one that folks will likely mention is Approach of the Second Sons. Basically, if you cast this thing, it gets put back into your deck. Then if you cast it from your hand again, you win the game. The problem is, a lot of people were getting really salty about this card, and I didn't put it in this deck. I think if you were building it at home, you would likely want to include this card, probably directly over a couple of an Ugins, or maybe a couple of the Serra the Benevolent. You very, very rarely end up activating the -6, so it would be something that would be very easy to replace there, if that was your cup of tea. So, without further ado, let's show you how it plays, shall we? Alright, folks, sorry about that. Had a little bit of a problem there with the recording there. So the game actually got started here. You haven't missed anything. We kept a land with 3 lands, a 9 lives, and a Solemnity. So, what do you want me to do? Throw it back, right? So our opponent, obviously, just land, nothing, and then land Viashino Pyromancer is all they've done. So You're caught up. You haven't really missed anything, but I apologize. The recording didn't actually start the way it was supposed to, embarrassingly enough. So here we are. You know. Psycho, our opponent though. All right. Thinking about it, goes with Goblin Chain Whirler. All right, fine. We take our damage down to 15. Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and 9 lives here. It can make our opponent's life a little bit awkward. The Bone Crusher Giant does get through that, but that means they've kind of got to kill us all in one turn, because the damage is prevented for this turn, but it is not prevented forever, right? So our opponent, currently, they just get to put counters onto the 9 lives, right? So we're just going to go ahead, slam a Solemnity. See what our opponent has to say. Likely going to Wizard's Lightning our face in response, because, you know, what else are you going to do? But it's also possible, maybe they're holding on to a Bone Crusher Giant right now. If they are, then fine, right? Yeah, okay. Just going to get one more counter onto 9 lives. So, opponent lights up the stage, finds Faceless Haven, and Play with Fire. Yeah. Well, none of these cards really do much currently, folks. Yeah. Opponent gets in. Solemnity, still a thing. And they, well, let's go ahead and cleanse the board here. This Faceless Haven, a little bit annoying here. Going to be able to pressure our Serra the Benevolent or Karn, Scion of Urza relatively well, I think. So for the time being, we're going to just hold on. The fact that we have both, we only have 2 Book of Exalted Deeds in the whole deck, folks, but the fact that we have both of them and the non-bow of Solemnity is a little bit awkward this game, but, you know, again, we've got, you know, we have 9 lives Solemnity against the mono red deck. I don't think it's proper for us to complain at this juncture. All right, Serra the Benevolent, come on down. We're going to go ahead and make a 4/4 Flying Vigilance, which we will absolutely trade with the Faceless Haven if they offer us that opportunity. It's possible we were supposed to hold on and wait until we could fire off Fateful Absence, because now they can theoretically throw a couple of useless burn spells at our 4/4. And then attack Serra the Benevolent. I think it's more likely they just bolt the Serra anyway. So that's why we would rather get this creature down and force them to answer it. Otherwise, we're gonna be able to kill them. The Faceless Haven can block some ground creatures, but cannot block flyers. So I think, you know, kind of putting them in a spot where their hand feels a little forced, I think is good for us. Psycho thinking about it. Considering. Animates. They're hovering their Faceless Haven. They do. Okay, well. Yeah, we will, we're gonna block. Okay. At our face? Surely not. Okay. Yeah. I was like, what? Okay. No, we'll take it. That's fine. Bone Crusher Giant? Okay, yes. This is good for them. We drop to 9. Then they bolt us down to 6. Oh, just play with fire? Okay. I mean, they're doing it, right? This is good. This is the scenario we set up for them to be able to potentially win. Do they have another Bone Crusher Giant in hand, folks? That would be very good for them. Now they've got to choose, do they want to hit our face or this Serra the Benevolent? Serra the Benevolent adds +2 every turn. That is a lot. That is a lot. Given the context of the situation, I have to assume they have one more burn spell they're considering where to go with it, right? And They're thinking awfully hard. All right, finally, folks. Okay, so the opponent does go with Play with Fire on our Serra the Benevolent, which is fine. 4 damage, get on in there. Karn, Scion of Urza going to come down, which we can hold up Fateful Absence now. So we are a mite safer from the Faceless Haven. Opponent gets to offer us a Snow-Covered Plains or a Solemnity. They're likely to just give us the Solemnity. We've already got one. They probably can't handle that one. So the land is at least some value. Though they may say it differently. Yeah, that's... I think they reached the same conclusion we did. Opponent. Thinking about it. Animates Faceless Haven. Does. Combat. Yep. Okay, do they go at Karn here? They do. Yeah, I think we're still just going to kill it. It's strongly possible this is incorrect because we're giving them another draw to get into another Bone Crusher Giant sort of thing, you know? But I think the Karn does give us a fairly clear path towards victory as far as just we slam a Book of Exalted Deeds, we make a Karn Struct, the next turn we make another Karn Struct. Things get relatively out of control as far as just the potentially damaging. All right. Artifact creatures that we come up with here. All right. Opponent thinking it over. Considering. I think we will trade with the Bone Crusher Giant this time. Regardless where it goes. Yeah. Because we can't afford for them to have another Bone Crusher Giant and, you know, take this 4, right? As it is, another Bone Crusher Giant right now doesn't do much. Because, you know, they've got to kill us all in one turn, right? So there's no way Bone Crusher Giant, the other card's going to do 5? No, I don't think so. But the Bone Crusher Giant would make things inconvenient on us. So, opponent has a Chain Whirler. Well, that's inconvenient. That is downright inconvenient, actually. Fine, let's go up. I think we're going to end up sweeping the board here, but that's fine. Our opponent does have to allow it to happen, though. Okay, here is Faceless Haven or Gideon of the Trials. Likely going to give us the Gideon, is my guess, because they see we've already got Book of Exalted Deeds, but they also, it's a non-bow, so they would be forgetting that, and most people do. But they also may just say, actually, Gideon is a pain in the butt as well, so let's just, yeah, okay, see, that's, that is what we expected. So, Gideon of the Trials, come on down. All right, we're going to go ahead and prevent this damage.
Try getting through me.
Not going to sweep yet. We're going to go ahead, foretell the Doomskar, and pass. If they attack in with Goblin Chain Whirler, it's almost certain they have the Bone Crusher Giant, right? They've almost a requirement, I guess, at that point. Well, interesting. Yeah, okay. All right. This might actually kind of telegraph to our opponent the combo, or they might just be really relieved, like, oh my goodness. Whew! At least they're not going for the, you know, the other combo. But, alright, opponent grabs another 9 lives, which is fine. Let's go with Gideon of the Trials animated. And go to combat. We get him with both, I guess is the question. No, let's just kick the can down the road, I think. All right, opponent on 8. You got it. You have got it. Opponent going to be thinking things over here for a moment. Opponent appears to be the more deliberate style player. This is reasonable. Another Chain Whirler coming down. That's annoying. Don't much care for that. They can kill off Gideon if they use a removal spell on the 2/1. I'm thinking this is actually a Bone Crusher Giant. I really do think that. Right. Surrender unto me and Ugin the Ineffable. Ugin. Make a dude. I think we're just going to go ahead, prevent the damage here with Gideon this turn. We just want to avoid them drawing a 3 damage burn spell that makes our life awkward. As it is, they can kill Karn, Scion of Urza, but I think we traded, in that case, we would have traded a removal spell, or a burn spell, and a Karn for the Ugin, and I think that's fine, right? Really got our opponent in an awkward situation, but I would not say we're out of this yet. If the final card in their hand is Bone Crusher Giant, then... Okay, that's annoying. Yeah, the Faceless Haven is a relatively serious bummer. I don't care for that. Okay. Block, block. Okay. Give us the card. Yep. Okay. Hey, Mazemind Tome for free. Don't mind if I do. So let's go ahead and make it lethal. Put our opponent in a little bit of an awkward spot here. This kind of means they have to animate the Faceless Haven to block, right? Yep. And honestly, just to avoid our opponent having something really good here, we're just going to Doomskar. Draw a card with Mazemind Tome. We're going to follow it up with an Ugin token, right? So we're going to have a board presence, but keep in mind, the Gideon all on its own is lethal. So if the final card is if this card right here... Oh, we can't draw the card. I almost forgot. We have Solemnity. That was... Don't yell at me too much in the comments, you know? Okay, sure enough, there is the Bone Crusher we were afraid of, but they have to cast it, otherwise they die, right? Sure enough, that is GG, Psycho. That is GG. So we were playing around the correct card basically the whole game there. Again, we allowed them to have a good turn, the one turn. But it was because we were confident they couldn't kill us, right? Admittedly, they did a lot more damage than I would have expected, so... a little bit sketchy, but that's okay. That's okay. GG, opponent. GG. All right, folks. Here we are up against Maxwell. Well, we don't really have any of our other combos, but we've got the Gideon, we've got the Serra, we've got a Wrath God. I don't know what else you could ask for, you know? Opponent mulligans. And keeps. All right, well, we're going to start on a snow-covered plain and see how the game develops. Esper Sentinel, huh? All right, fine. If they follow it up with a Thalia, that would be pretty problematic. Okay, the Luminarch Aspirant is really annoying, but not a huge deal. I think we're not going to Solemnity. I think we're going to go ahead and take the damage here and try and Wrath of God this turn. Again, a Thalia would be really annoying. Okay. Well, in an effort to try and prevent a little bit more damage, just in case they have further disruption, we're going to go ahead and Solemnity. We'll prevent more counters coming down from Luminarch Aspirant. The fact that they had the Thalia is really, really problematic. We did draw into a 5th land, so that's good. We can just Wrath of God as long as there isn't more disruption, you know? But... unlikely to commit further to the board. We would love it if they did, but they are unlikely to do so. Yeah, just cast a dozen things, please. Okay, well, one more thing is fine. Opponent kind of stuck on 2 lands. They will draw another card, which, you know, we're kind of helping them out of their mana troubles, but we also don't want to die. We're on 8 life, right? That is not very many life points. Dauntless Bodyguard coming on down. Targets the Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. So I think we're just going to go ahead and cast the Serra Benevolent, because we can make a 4/4 Flying Vigilance with it, which kind of makes their attacks more difficult. That doesn't mean they can't attack, clearly. But they'll have to lose a creature to do it. So if they want to kill off Serra, yep, they give up a creature. Yep. These things are exactly what we had kind of thought, right? Ranger Captain of Eos coming down. That is a really, really good creature there, I think. Gets Esper Sentinel, but doesn't have the mana to cast it just yet, and does not do it because of that complication. So, Ugin the Ineffable, the most expensive card in our hand, going to come down. We are going to, rather than tick down, we're actually going to tick up here. It is true, sometimes these style decks do run a little bit of disruption, and that could make our life annoying. But currently, we just throw the 4/4 in front of the 3/3, the 2/2 in front of the 2/1, and combat very much goes our way here. So I don't really see much of a reason to do elsewise. Wow, at our face? Okay. Down to 5. Give us our 9 lives. Yep. Hey. Mazemind Tome. Keep in mind, folks, the Solemnity doesn't, you know, allow that to be used. With something like whatever the Phyrexian dude's name is, Vorinclex, you can place a counter on, but then it's halved, so you can take the action. Solemnity says you can't even take the action, so it doesn't happen. But our opponent recognizes they cannot beat 9-life Solemnity and scoops it up. I don't think they were scooping it up to Gideon. I think they were scooping it up because they just knew they couldn't beat what we were doing. So GG, opponent. GG. All right, folks. So here we are up against Rustbus. Good luck, Rustbus. I think we are going to go ahead and mulligan that hand. It is not the sort of hand that is going to win very many games. It doesn't do much, you know. This hand, though, does actually have the Facebook combo in it. So, you know, we need to draw some lands. But we've got the important parts. And then we top deck the non-bow, you know. It's, that's the problem with putting non-bows in your deck, folks. Sometimes you draw them. All right, well, Fateful Absence, a little not great against Diffusion Sliver, admittedly, but the Wrath of God will hopefully clean these things up. We did grab another snow-covered plains, so that much is definitely good. Another Diffusion Sliver. Is this all? Yeah. Target of a spell or ability, yeah, so. Definitely kind of sweet. Opponent thinking about things. Gets in for 1. Sure. Alright, our turn. Snow-covered plains. Book of Exalted Deeds. Pass the turn. Rustbus, it is your go. Your go indeed. Leeching Sliver. Alright, opponent going to make us lose 2 life. And then lose 2 more life through combat. I think yeah, I think we're just gonna go ahead and Wrath of God. We need to buy some time here. The Fateful Absence now a much better card because we can actually use it, you know, instead of it getting counterspelled by countered by the Diffusion Slivers. Each sliver card in your graveyard has Unearth 2A. Yeah, fine. I don't think I've got too much problem with that. If our opponent wants to spend,
Let's do this.
like, they can't really kill Gideon here with what's going on currently in their graveyard. They've got to cast, yeah, some spells out of their hand, so fine. Yep. Okay. We are now 1 land, 1 white land or snow land away from the Facebook combo. And we're pretty happy about that. I think we're just gonna hang on here for the time being. Fateful Absence almost certainly going to hit this Cleaving Sliver, but they could have... Okay. I was gonna say, they could have the 5-color Sliver, which would be not great. But... yeah, okay. Yeah. All of your things. Do all of the things, sure. Fine. Folks, we still need that land. Please, deck, stop betraying us. That is problematic indeed. Yes, we're gonna go ahead and prevent the damage from first Sliver's chosen. Dregscape Sliver is the remaining... Oh, crud, there it is! No! That was the one we were worried about. At least they don't have haste yet. So that is absolutely a boon. Do we jump in front? I think so. Come on, land, baby. There we go. Okay, so make sure you tap very carefully here because it will try and keep the Faceless Haven from being activated. All right.
Now it's my turn.
Well, folks, we'll see. Our opponent might have ways of handling lands. You know, some kind of utility land in there or something. Not sure. Okay. Down to 1. Alright, so I guess that means it's 9 lives Solemnity time as well. And you know what? Gideon emblem time.
Let's finish this.
And I guess we'll just cash Serra the Benevolent in for a flying angle. Yeah, sure. Predatory Sliver, Cascade into Striking Sliver. Sure. Sure. Yeah. Which cascades into nothing. Man, I really wish they had allowed me to see those cards so I could see if there was anything in there we need to be worried about. Right? Yep. Yep. Trying to signal our opponent to read the Faceless Haven. They are aware of the 9 lives Solemnity interaction, but they are not clearly aware of the Faceless Haven can't lose the game interaction. It's alright. Diffuse and Sliver, going to go and look. You know, a very, very quick glance. I don't see any way for them to win the game yet. Yeah. That was a very, very large chunk of their library. So, it is strongly possible they cannot win. So, it's incumbent upon us to find a way to win.
I've been waiting for this.
So we're going to wait on them to cast a sliver that, like, can fly and block our angel here. And then we will kill it with Ugin. We do need to draw at least one more land before we can do that, because of course they do have a diffusion sliver out. Now, the question is, do we... I mean, they might just kill Gideon now. I mean, that would make sense. I mean, okay. Yeah, sure. Opponent unearths Leeching Sliver. Does go after Gideon. Yeah, you know, fine. These things are fine. It is inconvenient, because there was a very legitimate question, like, you know, do we just sweep the board at some point here, right? Yeah. Because Gideon is just as good of a threat, for the most part. But now that Gideon is dead, I think we will not take that line, obviously. Now that we've said that, though, our deck almost certain to be like... Okay, no god cards, sure. Here's a bunch of back-to-back-to-back-to-back board sweepers, right? That's the way that works. Okay. That's actually not terrible at all. Yet to draw an extra card per turn for the next couple of turns. Oh. How embarrassing. My own Solemnity. I keep forgetting about that non-bow. I even mentioned that non-bow, and I keep forgetting it. How embarrassing. Alright. Spiteful Sliver. Yes. Well, that's the one we were talking about, folks. That one right there. Cloud Shredder Sliver. No more striking slivers. Okay. Yeah. You got it. On this one, we have to kill. We must kill the Cloud Shredder Sliver. Because it makes it so we can't attack anymore. And I do want to conclude this game, you know, eventually. That would be really nice. Rust Bus. Thinking it over. Continuing to attack. I mean, they could, you know, it could be that they're expecting us to have life gain. So they're trying to get our life total low enough that once they destroy Faceless Haven, you know, then we're just dead, right? So I could see that. But they do keep hovering over 9 lives, like expecting something different to happen, right? Like they're reading it and not understanding it. But the problem is they're reading the wrong card. It's this one. You need to read this one, opponent. This is the card. Yeah. All right. And finally, Rustbus gets the idea that, you know, actually, I can't win. And scoops him up. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. Had some good games there. We ended up relatively mediocre. We went 3-2. When we were on the stream, when we were playing it the other night, it was I think it went 24-9, if my memory serves, or 21-7. I would have to look at the numbers, but either way, we won a lot and didn't do a lot of losing. So today wasn't quite as good. We ran up against a couple of really awkward matchups for us. There was an enchantment style deck. We don't really have much interaction with that. So that was not great. But like as far as the rest of them, I think there was, you know, there were some really good things. Again, we ran into our non-bow, and I wouldn't say I punted into it, but I embarrassed myself with it. But you know, what would be a video with me without embarrassing myself just a little? We got to see kind of the combos take off there. No regrets. I think it was great. As far as building it at home, again, I think this is the primary thing you would be building here is around the board sweeping package, right? This is one of the key packages. So if you've got a bunch of board sweepers laying around, you've already spent your wild cards on. The things that go around it are pretty easy. I would start with just the one combo of 9 lives and Solemnity, if you're going to be spending wild cards. A bunch of the rest of the stuff around it, you know, it can be all moved around and shifted around. But this combo is the most straightforward way of winning the game. So if you've already got the Wraths, you go to spend some wild cards and you get these. The rest of the deck kind of fills in around itself. You don't need all of the other, you know, can't win stuff to have this deck be good. And as a matter of fact, again, I think the Serra might actually be holding the deck down a little bit. You know, it felt thematically correct to have it in here. But I think as far as the actual performance of the deck, I think it actually might be better if this was something else. So maybe, yeah, like 2 Approach to the Second Suns. I believe we mentioned that earlier. And maybe 1 more board sweeper, or maybe another like enchantment-based removal spell for problematic permanents the opponent might have. Again, planeswalkers and stuff. So Banishing Light or something. And, you know, or maybe just a different way of winning the game. Maybe more Karns or something like that. Then the other thing is, I know a lot of you might question why not have more Book of Exalted Deeds and Faceless Haven, because that is also a relatively straightforward and low cost opportunity cost to deck. Well, the issue is it does cost 6 mana to activate. So you gotta have all your books, you gotta have the Faceless Havens down, and then you gotta activate both of them the same turn. So you have to have 3 snow mana and 3 white mana. So no less than 6 mana? Like, in Historic, that's asking a lot, folks. Now, admittedly, as long as you've also been able to sweep the board and stuff, it is possible. So again, if you built Book of Exalted Deeds and Faceless Haven in Standard? Okay. Yeah, it's a great place to start. You could definitely start without this and go this direction. But that's, yeah. The non-bows with Solemnity is why there are fewer of these. So, you know, all that said, I think I had a great time. I'm glad that you were here with us. Thank you for being here. I will catch you all next time.